The rain hit my windshield like tiny bullets as I pulled into our driveway. I'd cut my business trip short, eager to surprise Marcus after 3 long days away. The house looked warm and inviting, golden light spilling from the windows. I grabbed my suitcase and ran to the front door, already imagining his surprised face. My key wouldn't turn. I tried again, jiggling the lock. Nothing. Confusion turned to panic as I knocked, then pounded on the door. Through the window, I saw movement. Then she appeared, Diane, my mother-in-law, arms crossed over her chest, wearing that smug smile I'd grown to hate over 5 years of marriage. "Diane, the lock's broken," I shouted through the glass. She didn't move, just stood there, watching me like I was some annoying salesperson. Then Marcus appeared behind her, and my heart dropped. His face was cold, emotionless. He mouthed 4 words that shattered my world: "You don't live here." I stood frozen, rain soaking through my jacket, trying to understand what was happening. This morning, I'd woken up in a hotel room as his wife. Now I was locked out of my own home. My hands shook as I fumbled for my phone. Water dripped from my hair, blurring the screen. I called Marcus first. It rang once, then went to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. He was inside, 20 feet away, deliberately ignoring me. I scrolled through my contacts with numb fingers. My sister Vanessa, straight to voicemail. My best friend Amy, no answer. Everyone seemed unreachable, like the universe had conspired to leave me stranded on this doorstep. Then I remembered Paul, the realtor who'd helped us buy the house last year. It was a desperate move, but I was drowning in options. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Paul, it's Claire. I'm so sorry to bother you, but something's happened and I..." "Claire? What's wrong?" Marcus changed the locks. "I'm locked out of my house." There was a pause. Then his voice changed, became sharper. "Wait, your house? Claire, do you have the deed nearby?" "No, I'm standing in the rain outside." "Listen to me carefully," he interrupted. "The deed is in your name only. Your name. Don't let them do this to you." The world tilted. My name. Only mine. I drove to the nearest hotel, my clothes leaving wet marks on the seat. My mind raced, replaying Paul's words. How could the deed be only in my name? We'd bought the house together. Or had we? In my room, I tore through my email, searching for the closing documents. My laptop screen glowed as I opened file after file. Then I found it, the deed, officially recorded. Claire Anderson. Just my name, not Marcus's, not joint ownership. How had I never noticed? I took a screenshot and sent it to Marcus with trembling fingers. No caption, no explanation, just the proof that he'd made a terrible mistake. The message showed, read, almost immediately. Then nothing. No response. No apology. Just silence. Something inside me shifted, not my heart breaking. That had already happened hours ago when I discovered the affair through a string of deleted texts I'd recovered from our phone bill. No, this was different. This was my tolerance shattering. My willingness to be the understanding wife, the accommodating daughter-in-law, the woman who made herself smaller so others could feel bigger. That version of me died in that hotel room. I couldn't sleep. At 2 in the morning, I found myself scrolling through Marcus's social media. He'd always been careful, but anger makes people sloppy. Then I saw her profile, Brooklyn Hayes, from his office. Her latest story showed a wine glass, clearly in our backyard. I recognized the fence, the garden lights I'd installed last summer. She was in my house. In my space. I clicked through her photos, my stomach churning. There, 3 weeks ago, a selfie in what looked like our kitchen. Another from a month back, standing in our living room. The affair wasn't new. It had been going on for months, right under my nose, while I worked 60-hour weeks to pay the mortgage. My hands clenched around my phone. He hadn't just cheated. He'd moved her in while I was away. They'd probably laughed about it, about stupid Claire who never noticed, who was too busy being the responsible one to see what was happening in her own home. I opened a new browser tab and typed, "Lawyers who specialize in divorce revenge." The lawyer's office smelled like coffee and old books. Patricia Winters came highly recommended by an online forum dedicated to women escaping bad marriages. She was 50-ish, with sharp eyes and a smile that promised trouble for the right people. "So your husband changed the locks on your house," she said, stirring sugar into her coffee. "The house that's in your name only." Yes. And his mother was there, helping him. She looked thrilled about it. Patricia's smile widened. Claire, I'm going to be honest with you. This case is going to be fun. We're going to take your house back without you having to beg, plead, or compromise. They think they've won. Let them think that a little longer. What do you mean? We're going to be strategic. Quick eviction gets your house back, sure. But patience? Patience gets you everything. I leaned forward, suddenly very interested. Tell me more. She pulled out a legal pad and started sketching a plan that made my heart race with something that wasn't quite revenge, but felt deliciously close. Patricia filed a cease and desist letter the next morning. Formal, legal, and devastating. It outlined my sole ownership of the property and demanded Marcus and Diane cease occupying my home immediately. His response came within hours, a long, rambling text message that reeked of desperation and gaslighting. You abandoned our marriage, Claire. You're never home. You chose work over us. Over me. I had to make a choice about my happiness. You left me no option but to move on. The house is as much mine as yours, regardless of whose name is on some paper. We built this life together. I read it to Patricia over the phone. She laughed, actually laughed. He's panicking, she said. Keep that message. It's evidence of his awareness that he has no legal right to the property. He's essentially admitting he knows he's squatting. So what do I do? Nothing yet. Let him think his tantrum worked. The angrier he gets, the more mistakes he'll make. I saved the message, along with the 3 increasingly hostile texts that followed. Each one was another nail in his coffin, and he was hammering them in himself. Patricia's advice was unexpected: don't evict them yet. Instead, she suggested something clever: surveillance. You own the house, she explained. You have every legal right to monitor your property. Set up cameras. Document everything. Let them think they've won while you gather evidence. I hired a security company that specialized in discreet installations. Within 2 days, I had cameras covering every main room, living room, kitchen, dining room, even the backyard. All feeding directly to my laptop and phone. The first night of footage made me sick. Marcus and Brooklyn, curled up on my couch, drinking from my wine glasses. Diane sitting in my favorite chair, laughing about something. They looked so comfortable, so entitled to a space that wasn't theirs. But I kept watching. Because Patricia was right, evidence was power. And every moment they spent in my house, they were building my case stronger. I created folders: financial evidence, infidelity proof, property damage. I was going to be ready for anything. The financial records were worse than I'd imagined. I'd always handled our joint account, deposited my paycheck, paid the bills. I'd trusted Marcus when he said he was contributing equally. He wasn't. I pulled up 12 months of statements, highlighting every transaction. My deposits: regular, substantial, twice monthly. His deposits: sporadic, small, eventually stopping altogether around the time the affair started. Then I saw them. Charges at expensive restaurants I'd never been to. A jewelry store purchase for $800, I'd never received jewelry. Designer shopping bags, weekend hotel stays. All on our joint account. All funded by my salary. The mortgage payments, the utilities, the insurance, I'd been paying everything. He'd been draining our account to finance his affair while I worked overtime to keep us afloat. I downloaded everything, organized it by date and category. When Patricia saw it, she actually whistled. This isn't just infidelity, she said. This is financial abuse. He was systematically exploiting you while planning his exit. How'd I make him pay for this? She smiled. Oh, Claire. He already is. He just doesn't know it yet. The camera in the living room caught something explosive. I was reviewing footage from a dinner party Marcus and Brooklyn had thrown, in my house, with my furniture, when I heard Diane's voice clearly. She was never good enough for this family, she said, refilling her wine glass. Too focused on work, too independent. Marcus needs someone who makes him the center of her world. Brooklyn laughed, leaning into Marcus. I can't believe it took this long. Well, Diane continued, we had to wait for the right moment. The affair was just the final push. We've been planning this for months, how to get her out without making Marcus look bad. My hands froze on the keyboard. It was planned. The affair, the lockout, everything. This wasn't Marcus's impulsive decision. It was a calculated conspiracy. I saved the clip, backed it up in 3 locations, and sent it to Patricia with shaking hands. She called immediately. This changes everything. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, possibly even theft. They're going down, Claire. All of them. I decided to try something risky. I showed up at the house the next evening, my face carefully arranged in an expression of defeat. When Brooklyn answered the door, I asked quietly if I could speak to Marcus. He came outside, arms crossed, defensive. What do you want? I want to understand. Can we talk? Please? Something in my broken voice must have convinced him. He actually relaxed, even smiled a little. Sure, come in. Inside my own house, I played the role perfectly. Apologetic, lost, willing to take blame. Diane watched from the kitchen, satisfaction written across her face. They thought they'd broken me. As I stood to leave, I hugged Marcus goodbye, and felt his phone in his back pocket, unlocked from checking a message moments before. In one smooth motion, I slipped it out, pawned it, and walked toward the door. I'll let myself out, I said softly. By the time he noticed it missing, I was 3 blocks away, the phone syncing to my laptop. Marcus's phone was a treasure trove of evidence. I worked fast, knowing I had maybe an hour before he realized what happened. Messages with Brooklyn going back 8 months. Photos I didn't want to see but forced myself to document. But the worst, the absolute worst, were emails to a divorce lawyer dated 3 months ago. The subject line: strategy for making spouse look unstable. I read through them with growing horror and fury. Marcus had been planning to divorce me, but he wanted to control the narrative. The lawyer advised him to document any outbursts, to provoke arguments, to create a paper trail showing I was emotionally unstable, so he could claim grounds for divorce without looking like the bad guy. But he never filed. He was waiting for me to do it first, so he could play the victim. I downloaded everything to a USB drive, then factory reset the phone. By the time I dropped it anonymously at a coffee shop near our house, where he'd likely tracked it, I had everything I needed. Marcus thought he was the chess player. He didn't realize he'd been playing checkers against a grandmaster. With Patricia's help, I filed for divorce first. I also froze our joint accounts and filed for an emergency order requiring Marcus to vacate my property. The papers were served on a sunny afternoon while he lounged by the pool, my pool, with Brooklyn. I wasn't there, but I watched through the cameras. The sheriff handed him the papers. Marcus's face went from confused to angry to panicked in seconds. He started yelling, pointing at the house, arguing that he lived there. Sir, the property owner has filed for eviction. You have 72 hours. Diane came running outside, screaming about lawyers and rights. Brooklyn looked scared, suddenly realizing she'd moved into a war zone. The sheriff remained calm. Ma'am, you're trespassing. If you're not gone in 72 hours, you'll be forcibly removed. I watched Marcus crumple the papers, throw them on the ground, storm inside. Through the camera, I saw him try to call me. I let it ring. He tried 6 more times. Each one brought a small smile to my face. The comments on the case file would later note, defendant became verbally aggressive upon service. Another mistake for his collection. Instead of leaving quietly, Marcus threw a party. A celebration, he called it in a text to friends I saw through our shared cloud account. Freedom from the ball and chain. I watched from my hotel room, laptop open, as 24 people filled my house. They were loud, drunk, careless. Someone spilled red wine on my cream carpet. Another person knocked over a lamp, the antique one my grandmother had left me. The camera near the kitchen caught the worst of it. A guest, trying to take a selfie, backed into my china cabinet. It wobbled, then crashed, shattering glass and dishes everywhere. Brooklyn screamed. Marcus laughed. Don't worry, it's not like she's coming back for any of this stuff. I recorded every second. Every broken item, every spill, every piece of damage. When Patricia saw the footage the next morning, she immediately filed an emergency motion. Property destruction, she said, typing rapidly. Reckless endangerment of assets. This gets them out today, Claire. Today. Within 4 hours, we had a court order. By evening, I'd be going home. A Facebook message appeared in my filtered requests folder. The name meant nothing to me, Heather Collins. You don't know me, but we need to talk about Marcus. I almost deleted it, but something made me click. He did the same thing to me 4 years ago. The affair, the gaslighting, the financial abuse. I saw your story in a legal filing a friend sent me. I have evidence that might help you. We met at a coffee shop the next day. Heather was about my age, with kind eyes and a wariness I recognized. She showed me documents, messages, photos. Marcus had cheated on her with 3 different women during their marriage, drained their savings, then blamed her for being controlling when she questioned his spending. He told everyone I was crazy, she said quietly. That I was jealous and paranoid. It took me years to rebuild my reputation. Why didn't you fight back? I didn't have proof. He was careful. She looked at me intensely. But you do. You have cameras, records, witnesses. Finish what I couldn't, Claire. Make him face consequences for once. We exchanged numbers. By the time I left, I had an ally, and a renewed sense of purpose. The sheriff arrived at 8 in the morning with a locksmith, Patricia, and me. I'd barely slept, too anxious about what came next. Marcus answered the door in pajamas, confusion turning to rage when he saw the officer. You can't do this. I have rights. Sir, this property belongs to Ms. Anderson. You have no legal right to be here. You were served with an eviction notice 3 days ago. This is your final warning. But I live here. The sheriff remained unmoved. Not according to the deed, sir. Brooklyn appeared in one of my robes, looking panicked. What's happening? Marcus, what's going on? You're both trespassing, Patricia said calmly. You have 30 minutes to collect personal belongings. Everything else remains the property of Ms. Anderson. I watched them scramble, throwing clothes into suitcases, arguing in harsh whispers. Diane showed up mid-eviction, screaming about lawyers and justice. The sheriff warned her once, then escorted her off the property when she wouldn't stop. The locksmith changed every lock while they packed. When Marcus tried to take the television, Patricia stopped him. Ms. Anderson's purchase. Leave it. By 9:30, they were gone. I stood in my doorway, new keys in hand, and breathed freely for the first time in weeks. Brooklyn's Instagram went nuclear. She posted a series of stories painting herself as the innocent victim of a psycho ex-wife who had illegally evicted her. The comments were sympathetic at first, until I posted my response. One video clip from the security camera. Brooklyn and Diane, laughing over wine, while Diane said, "It's her house, but it's our home now. She'll never get it back." The caption. Interesting perspective on illegal eviction. The internet did what the internet does best. They found every inconsistency in Brooklyn's story. Someone dug up photos of her in my house dated months before the eviction. Another person found her LinkedIn, which still listed her as in a relationship with Marcus, while he was married to me. The comments turned. You knew he was married. You helped him steal her house. Homewrecker and liar. Brooklyn deleted her account by evening. But screenshots live forever. I saved them all, just in case. Diane showed up at my office on Monday morning. Security called me from the lobby, asking if I knew a woman demanding to see me. I went down, curious despite myself. She stood near the elevator, dressed in her usual expensive clothes, wearing her superiority like armor. We need to talk. No, we don't. Don't be childish, Claire. This has gone too far. You're embarrassing yourself and my son. Your son committed fraud. He tried to steal my house. He was protecting his interests. You were never a real wife to him anyway, always putting work first. Ms. Anderson? My boss, Kevin, had appeared beside us. Is everything all right? This woman is harassing me. Diane's face went red. I'm her mother-in-law. And she's asked you to leave, Kevin said firmly. Security, please escort this woman out. And Ms. Anderson, HR would like documentation of this incident. We take employee safety seriously. Diane sputtered as security guided her toward the door. She shot me a venomous look over her shoulder. This isn't over. But it was. I filed a formal harassment complaint. By end of day, Diane had a restraining order preventing her from coming within 500 feet of my workplace. Cleaning the house felt like reclaiming sacred space. I started in the attic, boxing up anything Marcus had left behind, mostly junk he'd stored and forgotten. Then I found something unexpected, an old cardboard box labeled in my father's handwriting. Inside were letters, dozens of them, addressed to me. I'd never seen them before. With shaking hands, I opened the first one, dated 5 years ago, right around my wedding. My dearest Claire, I hope this money helps you build the future you deserve. The down payment is my gift to you alone. May this house always be your sanctuary, your safe place, somewhere no one can take from you. I sat on the dusty floor, reading letter after letter. My father had died a year after my wedding. I'd been so wrapped up in married life, I'd never known about these letters, never realized the down payment had been his money, his protection. This house wasn't just legally mine. It was emotionally mine, built on my father's love and sacrifice. Marcus had never had any claim to it, morally or legally. I held the letters to my chest and cried, but not from sadness. From gratitude. My father was still protecting me, even now. The screenshots spread like wildfire. I didn't post them, Heather did, on a forum for women escaping abusive relationships. But once they were out there, people shared them everywhere. Marcus's emails about making me look unstable. The texts where he mocked me to Brooklyn. The financial records showing his theft. Photos of the destroyed house after his party. Diane's recorded admission that they'd planned everything. His employer called 3 days later. A polite, formal conversation about conduct unbecoming and representing company values. He was fired. Brooklyn's new job offer, she'd been planning to switch companies, was quietly rescinded. Someone had sent her future employer the security footage of her laughing about stealing my house. I didn't feel victorious, just tired and sad about what people were capable of when they thought they could get away with it. But justice felt good. I couldn't lie about that. While boxing up bathroom supplies Marcus had left behind, I found a pregnancy test. Used. Positive. My heart stopped. Then I did the math. I'd been gone from the house for 3 weeks. This couldn't be mine, and Marcus knew it. I texted Heather a photo. Her response came immediately. He did this to me too. Said his girlfriend was pregnant to manipulate me into a worse divorce settlement. I'd bet money it's fake. I contacted Patricia. She subpoenaed medical records. 2 weeks later, the truth emerged. Brooklyn wasn't pregnant. She'd never been pregnant. The test was a prop, probably left deliberately for me to find, designed to make me panic and accept unfavorable divorce terms. It was manipulation on top of manipulation. These people had no bottom. Patricia used it in court. The judge's expression when she explained the fake pregnancy scheme said everything. Marcus's lawyer actually cringed. Marcus filed for spousal support, claiming I'd been the primary earner and he'd become dependent on my income. The audacity was breathtaking. Patricia came to court with a folder 3 inches thick. She presented the financial records showing his spending, the evidence of theft, the proof he'd been employed full-time while draining our accounts for his affair. Your Honor, she said, the respondent isn't dependent on my client's income. He was stealing it. There's a difference. She showed the bank statements, highlighted every suspicious charge, traced them back to his affair. The judge leaned forward, examining each page with growing disapproval. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue. Patricia cut him off with emails Marcus had sent bragging about his salary, higher than mine, to friends. He'd been lying about being dependent. The judge denied his motion. Then, to my shock, ordered Marcus to pay my legal fees for bringing a frivolous claim to this court. Outside, Patricia hugged me. You just won, Claire. Not just the case. Everything. I repainted the bedroom. Sage green instead of the gray Marcus had chosen. I replaced the couch they'd ruined, hung new curtains, filled the space with plants and light. My friend Amy helped me organize a housewarming party. Real friends, supportive coworkers, even Heather, who'd become genuine friend through our shared experience. We laughed, ate good food, celebrated new beginnings. I posted a video tour on social media, showing each renovated room. The caption, same house. New energy. New life. By morning, it had 200,000 views. By evening, over 1 million. Comments poured in from women sharing their own stories of taking back power, leaving bad relationships, finding strength they didn't know they had. I became accidentally viral. But instead of feeling exposed, I felt connected to thousands of women who understood, who'd survived similar battles, who cheered for my victory because it gave them hope for their own. 3 months after the divorce finalized, someone knocked on my door at 9 in the evening. Through the peephole, I saw Marcus. He looked terrible, thinner, tired, defeated. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I opened the door but left the security chain on. What do you want? Can we talk? Please? I need to explain. There's nothing to explain. I made mistakes, Claire. I know that now. I was stupid, and I'm sorry. I lost everything, my job, my reputation, my family. Brooklyn left me when the money ran out. I have nothing. I looked at him through the gap in the door. Once, I'd loved this man. Once, I'd believed we were building a life together. You didn't lose everything, Marcus. You threw it away. There's a difference. I know, but maybe we could. No, just let me. I closed the door gently but firmly, mid-sentence. I heard him standing there for a moment, then footsteps retreating down the walk. Through the window, I watched him get into a beat-up car that wasn't the luxury sedan he'd driven before. He sat there for a long moment, then drove away. I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just peace. On the anniversary of the day I'd been locked out, I wrote myself a letter. Dear future Claire, a year ago, you stood in the rain, locked out of your own house, feeling like your life was ending. You were wrong. It was just beginning. You learned that your worth isn't determined by who loves you, but by how you love yourself. You learned that standing up for yourself isn't cruel, it's necessary. You learned that the people who truly care will show up, while those who don't will reveal themselves. You saved yourself. With help, yes, with lawyers and friends and allies. But ultimately, you made the choice to fight instead of fold. You chose your own value over their convenience. Never forget that strength. Never doubt your worth again. You are enough, exactly as you are. And if you ever find yourself locked out again, literally or figuratively, remember, you hold the keys to your own life. Nobody can take that from you unless you let them. Love, past Claire. I sealed it in an envelope, dated it, and put it in the safe with my deed. The safe clicked shut with a satisfying sound. Inside, the deed, updated and notarized, showing Claire Anderson as sole owner. My father's letters. Divorce papers stamped, final. The letter to myself. Evidence I hoped I'd never need again but kept just in case. I walked through my house, room by room, remembering every battle fought to keep it. The living room where Diane had smirked at me through the window. The kitchen where Brooklyn had poured wine like she owned the place. The bedroom I'd reclaimed and remade. Every corner held a memory of survival. Outside, the rain started again, soft spring rain, nothing like the storm that had drenched me a year ago. I stood on my porch with a cup of tea, watching water bead on the new flowers I'd planted. My phone buzzed. A message from Heather. Coffee this week? Want to celebrate 1 year of freedom together? I smiled and typed back, absolutely. The house was quiet around me. My house, my sanctuary, my proof that I could lose everything and build it back better than before. Marcus had tried to take it all from me, my home, my dignity, my sense of self. But he'd forgotten something crucial, something he'd never understood. This house was never his to take. Neither was my strength. I'd always owned both. I'd just forgotten for a while. I wouldn't forget again.